delay. Hi everyone, I'm Jatin. I'm the co-founder and salesman of eChai Ventures. So eChai is more of an offline-online startup social network where we host a lot of programs across the nation in 20 cities in India where we engage a lot of founders together, and we host a lot of interesting co-learn blockchain series of programs where we invite some of the experts on blockchain and they come and share their experiences, and it becomes an interesting co-learning experience. So before we begin with the actual program, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. So how many of you believe that sometimes the large programs, sometimes they get little boring? You can raise your hand. And how many of you believe that sometimes like when such events happen, people should ask good questions? How many of you believe that? So it becomes informative for everybody. So what I would suggest, like as Gandhiji said, be the change you wish to see in the world. Be that person who wants to make this entire experience interesting for everybody. So get engaged and don't sit idle and just wonder that what is happening. So to encourage all of you to ask good questions. So our idea is that we're going to talk about blockchain, which a lot of people believe that it is going to change the world. Some of you might have experienced already the impact of what is going to happen, or some of you in future will do that. So to encourage all of you to ask questions, we would announce some rewards. So towards the end of our presentation and talk, we will select the person who has asked the good questions, and you will win the reward. So for example, how many of you like Surti Locho? No? We'll give you some interesting dinner pack, those who ask good questions. And along with me, we have Himanshu Chudasama. He is the founder of a company called Starting Excel. He also leads, which is also a corporate accelerator of Silver Touch, which was recently listed on SMA Exchange. So he's going to share his experiences about blockchain. So a couple of questions. How many of you heard about this world before or would have experienced? Most of you. How many of you are users of some sort of a blockchain application? Not somebody who is aware about it, somebody who is at some stage being using this, at some, like you're part of some service which is powered by blockchain. Anyone? How many of you are interested in exploring little more about it? Even if you are not, in like 30 minutes you will do that. So our idea is not to tell you that, this is what. Our idea is to help you trigger those points that, if you want to get more into it. So either you could be a founder who wants to set up a blockchain company. Either you are somebody who's curious, right? Like what is this everybody is talking about? Certainly the entire world is talking about Bitcoin. Or you are into government which is trying to figure out that, okay, Niti Aayog certainly asks people to talk about India chain, and then we want to figure out how blockchain can be implemented in the governance. Or if you are a student or if you are a professional wanted to explore a career, can I make a career in this? So there are various options. So idea is to help you trigger. And if you have any specific questions, you can ask those questions to me and Himanshu Chudasama. I would invite Himanshu bhai. So we can give him a huge round of applause. He has traveled all the way from Ahmedabad to Surat for this. Okay, we can do it together, or are we a little lazy? Can we try? Okay, I'll keep on asking to clap. It does two things. It keeps the audience busy so they don't start talking to each other. And it keeps the person very happy who has come all the way, so that he will feel more empowered and start talking good things and not just boasting about his work. So Himanshu bhai, again, last time I'll ask together, louder. Big round of applause for Himanshu Chudasama.
Thank you, Jatin, for getting that loud claps for me. Blockchain is being talked around a lot these days. There are private enterprises and government talking about blockchain, how to implement it, what to do about it. And blockchain is becoming one of our mystery technologies as such, because some claim that blockchain will replace everything that's happening right today in technology, while some claim, including Warren Buffett, that this is not going to work. So going to the nuances of blockchain, you should first understand what blockchain is all about. Blockchain is a peer-to-peer distributed ledger that is cryptographically secure. It can only be appended, it can be updated by consensus, and it cannot be immutable. which makes it very secure to store any transaction or any record that you are processing. Right? Now, what are the advantages of blockchain? Why blockchain should be implemented? Blockchain is a shared ledger, so it resides in multiple systems at the same time. It is a consensus-based system. So what is consensus? That whenever any transaction has to happen, the transaction has to be approved by at least 51% of the systems storing that data for you. So if you have this, so there are two types of blockchain. One is a public blockchain and one is a private blockchain. While even some have coined the word hybrid blockchain. Public blockchains are spread around the world, and the blockchain is stored in millions of computers. While private blockchains are stored by companies in a distributed ledger in various different data centers or in a single premises. But both work in the same way, that the transaction records are stored in all the systems and they are the same. So if your transaction record is system A, the same transaction record is in system 2. The transaction records are stored in an encrypted manner, and since they are in an encrypted manner, they are dependent on a different computer to unencrypt them. So if a system A stores data, say it stores Himanshu, system B will store the same data Himanshu in a different encryption form, taking a key from the system A. System C will store Himanshu again in an encrypted form, taking a key from system B. So the encrypted data in system B is not the same as the encrypted data in system C or in system A, because they are all encrypted with a different queue or a node. So that makes it consensus based, so that every record always remains the same. If the record needs to be changed, say there are 10 systems in an environment, 6 have to say this record Himanshu exists. If say only 5 say, then it is not more than 50%, and the record update will be denied or the verification will fail. So that's why blockchain becomes a very secure and consensus based system. It can, because it stores, it's immutable. So every record that is stored on the system is appended only. So provenance is maintained. So for example, if you say I am Himanshu and you change, you want to append it to I am Himanshu Chudasama. So that old record will not be appended. The old record will remain as I am Himanshu. The second record will be added to the same database which says I am Himanshu Chudasama. So you maintain a provenance of the data or the transaction that is happening. The provenance will not change. So whenever you want to go back in time and check the history, you can get the complete history of the transaction. Currently, we store data. We all say that currently we are having the same systems, right? We have password protected systems, systems that are again very secure in data centers that are ISO 27001 standards. So what is difference? Why should we use blockchain? What's the difference? You are providing the same security. In blockchain, what happens is, in other systems, you always have something called editing or updating, right? Whenever you update a record, say you have 100 rupees in your account, you want to make it 90. Someone in the system, someone in the system has the right to edit that figure. He may be higher up in the system, or he may be somewhere in the middle of the system. But there is always someone who has the right to edit. In blockchain, there is nothing called editing. If you have stored 100 and you wanted to make it 90, your 100 remains there and the next transaction record will show as 90. Of course, 90 will be the final amount that is there, but 100, the old record will remain as is. You cannot change the old record. And that is why it becomes a system of provenance, that you get the entire row of transactions as have been happening within the system. Also because of this, it is a finality. Since you cannot update the actual record, you can only append it. You cannot delete the record, it is a finality. So once a transaction happens, the transaction can never be removed. A simple, I think some use case that you all will understand is like we hear a lot of fraud in land records. Someone has a land and say X has a land, Y changes the names, he does a land deal, the papers are made and the land is transferred to the Y person, sells it to the Z person. This happens because in our systems we have something called edit, where records can be edited and things can be changed. If it was in blockchain, it would have the entry of the person who actually had it. So the first entry would say land so and so belongs to X, the land so and so belongs to Y. So probably it belonged to X in say 1984. Y did a transaction of fraud, tried to do a fraud transaction in say 1995. So that will add another transaction to it, and then Z buys it in say 2002. Now your blockchain will have all the records over there, so you can trace back that where the fraud happened, whether the fraud happened in 84, 95 or 2002. That's the power of blockchain. So it maintains a provenance, and that provenance is not deletable or editable.
And there was a news that recently Telangana government is going to use blockchain to put up all the land records.
Yeah, Telangana has given a contract to upload the land record registration records to blockchain. And another important aspect is smart contracting. Since it is finality, since it does not have editing, you can manage a system called smart contract. In smart contracts, what happens is that you go into a transaction contract with someone and say, if you deliver me X amount of goods, I will pay Y amount of goods on day 30. Now today what happens is X delivers the goods, the Y receives them, then he does not pay after 30 days. The payments get delayed because the writing of the check is in the person's hand who has received the goods. In case of, you can use blockchain over there as a very easy use case, is that you enter into a smart contract as a system where you upload your bank details and bank data. The day you receive the goods and you say that Mr. X says in the system that I received the goods, automatically on the 30th day the payment will be made to Mr. Y. So that will ease a lot of pain, fraud and delays that are happening in the financial sector today, which will automate the entire payment systems, and this is the major use case being used by banks to change and use blockchain into the systems. And the bank consortium is working on this implementing of smart contracting.
They call it this bank chain, where they are putting up KYC part using that.
Yeah, eKYC is different, where you cannot change your identity, but smart contracting they are implementing in trade notes. So wherever trade notes are happening, trade note takes around like 6 to 7 days of processing, and they are very large amount, like 400 crore, 500 crore trade notes. And you won't believe the figures, like annually 41,000 crore of transactions are done in trade notes. But each trade note, transaction time is around 6 days because it takes a lot of paperwork and a lot of intermediaries and parties are involved. And they are converting these trade note transactions into blockchain, reducing that 6 days to simple 3 hours job. So where is the world going today? I was recently in Dubai. I attended the Future Blockchain Summit in Dubai, and I could see what's happening around in the world. Dubai is planning to implement 360-degree governance in the system, removing all the intermediaries involved in energy, waste management, water supply, municipality, real estate, everywhere. So UAE is the first major country that is implementing 360-degree governance, and it has given a deadline of 2020 to implement it in their things. But there are smaller countries also that have already implemented it, like Georgia, the Republic of Georgia. They already have 360-degree governance implemented. Then you go to the larger players, then you have USA. The state of Delaware has implemented stock ownership, blockchain in stock ownership. So any stock ownership transfers happen, then they are happening through blockchain. In UK, the grant distribution is happening through blockchain. It's already operational. In Sweden, real estate records are already on the blockchain. All real estate transactions happening in Sweden today are on blockchain. Then there is Estonia, a very small country again in the Eastern European region. They have all their medical records on the blockchain.
And they have this e-residency program, so if you're an interesting startup and if you believe that Europe could be a potential market, a lot of leadership team from the Estonia government were in India. They were trying to identify good startups who can set up their base in Estonia. So there is also an opportunity you can explore.
Then there is Russia. So Russia is transferring all its stakeholder transactions on the blockchain. Then there is Singapore. Singapore is implementing trade invoice fraud because Singapore is the financial hub of the world, right? Most of the financial transactions happen through Singapore, and it's a major financial hub. So they're implementing trade invoice frauds, which are majorly part and parcel of the supply chain logistics, where you do LCs, letter of credits. We recently had that LC fraud happening with PNB. So those kind of frauds don't happen. That's why Singapore is implementing blockchain in that. Then there's South Korea. South Korea is implementing blockchain in its banking transactions. Japan is very aggressively implementing blockchain in many governance and banking aspects. And mind you, there's a small African country like Ghana. They've already transferred their property deals onto the blockchain. So any property deal that happens in Ghana is today on blockchain. India, yes, government of Andhra Pradesh has given that. And even government of Maharashtra is currently, I think, in the process of giving it, or they've given it in a soft LOI. It's not an yet, it's an LOI, so letter of intent has been given, where Maharashtra is converting all its land records onto blockchain. So this is where the world is moving, and this is how things are changing around the world with us. Coming to this summit that we have over here, we are basically working for smart cities. By the way, this that you can see on the screen is a book I have authored on blockchain technology in governance. I just authored it. It's about to be printed, going to the print soon, next week. So I just authored it, and it's for benefit of government officers who want to learn about blockchain and the various use cases of blockchain. So we have done some work on that.
Checking out the price?
No. No, getting the right slide over there. So in smart city, blockchain can be implemented in at various places to make cities smarter. Now, what is the concept of smart cities and why it has come up? The concept of smart city. Today, urbanization is increasing very fast. With urbanization, its own issues have come in. We have issues of energy, we have issues of transportation, we have issues of logistics, we have issues of identity management, we have issues of smart homes itself. Right now, all this data from all the smart cities, for that we are creating the smart cities. Now, once the smart cities are being created, the biggest fear of people is that so much data is being collected from so many data points, because IoT will be majorly used to collect this data. Now, how do you keep this data secure? Right? You have programmed your lights to go off at 6 in the morning, and you have programmed to go on at 6 in the evening. Now, this data could easily be hacked, and things can be changed, and the lights could be switched off at 3 at night, and some robberies could happen. Once the power goes, your every secure system of cameras will go off. So this is the fear that is there, that creating smart cities and creating so many data points, how do you protect your data? Same is case with smart homes. You have Alexa now, recently being Alexa is there, Google Home has come out, where they are recording your data, right? You have instrument in your home that is collecting every data. It is collecting that what is your habits. Same thing is happening with smart homes. If you install smart home system in your home, then your lock is collecting data. Your electric points are collecting data. Your TV is collecting data. Your Wi-Fi is collecting. So every device in your smart home is collecting data, Because to make it smart, they have to collect data, use AI on it, artificial intelligence, and give you a better experience, right? That's why we want smart homes. But collecting this data, and how do you make it secure? You're vulnerable. Your data is vulnerable, can be hacked, anything can be done. And every day we are listening to cases where data are being hacked from banks, where data are being hacked from e-commerce companies where you made purchase. So, and your smart home, your home is your life. It's your own private world. Would you want that data to be hacked and made use of in any way? No, we don't. So blockchain is one of the technologies that can help in protecting this data and ensuring that it cannot be changed. It can only be appended. So it cannot be edited, then things cannot change. And whenever you append it, you need a consensus. So one computer cannot change it. You need to hack into millions of computers to change any data. So that's how blockchain can be widely used in smart cities to protect the privacy of the citizens and give a secure environment. Other than that, there are various other cases that can be done. One of them is smart governance, which is most aptly required in any smart city. It's a base. Smart governance is a core base of a smart city. Then there is employment. Then there is finance. Then there is identity management. Then there is land record transactions. Then there is transportation. Then there is energy, your waste management, your citizen participation in various schemes, grants, or other activities. Then there's health, your health records, managing your health records. Then there's education, where you can manage your degrees and your certificates, which cannot be changed. Then yes, in education also, the Ministry of Education, Mr. Javadekar is working on this, of implementing blockchain in issuing of degree certificates. That they are actively working on that. It's a LOI, again not an LOI also. I think it's yet at a use case base. Then there's housing, and then there is safety at the end. So with safety, everything is a must, and we need to do that. So this is all what blockchain can do.
So if it's too good to be true, why it is not happening everywhere? What is the resistance?
Well, with blockchain, there is one major aspect is that yet a lot of thought is given to the stability of the technology yet. The technology is upgrading on a constant basis, and the POCs are being prepared, but since it's a major decision of change, it is taking time. Because any major change comes, then it does take time for people to sink in. And another aspect is that blockchain is such a new technology and a little complicated that people are taking time to understand and actually implement it.
So basically, like there is a huge pitch from blockchain people is that you put all your critical stuff, some of the things that you mentioned on blockchain. But at the same time, it is not that reliable. So what is your take on that?
Pardon?
So you mentioned about a lot of critical services which can be put on blockchain. On the other side, there are limitations of a blockchain solution. So are there any examples of people who have actually got benefited out of it, not just the use case?
Well, benefit, I'll come to that point later. But 92% of cases in blockchain have failed. And they have failed because of one core reason, and that is applicability of blockchain at the wrong data points. So the major question is, should I use blockchain? So whenever you use blockchain, you have to consider at least what I was talking about was that I have seen many cases where blockchain has been forcefully used into systems and applications. Just because it is a savvy word, and you become tech savvy if you say I have used blockchain. Investors are going to pump money into those startups who say I've used blockchain. So it's very necessary to understand that blockchain should be used at those places only where consensus, trust, and transparency, these three aspects are required. If your application does not need any one of these things, then please don't use blockchain.
So we take a couple of questions, then you again go through. So anybody has any questions for him about the topic or about some of the things you? Yeah. So okay, so to encourage all of you, we will increase the reward. So one Surti Locho is there, but another thing, there is this co-working space in Surat, iCover. So you'll get a 8 days free pass if you get selected. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes.
I am Jatin Agarwal. I am working with Pandit Deendayal Petroleum University and I belong to Surat. My question is, if blockchain is so secure, why Bitcoin failed in India?
Bitcoin has not failed.
Okay, so this is a very interesting question. Let me go. It's a very interesting question. A lot of people can have different opinions and we are mature enough to live with that. So you ask the question, he'll put forward his point and we'll move on, else we'll end up debating.
Bitcoin is part of the it's a cryptocurrency, right? Now, when you talk in terms of fail, what is your definition of fail?
Happened. Lot of fraud happened. People have lost their money, and even Indian government is not giving that it is a secure business to put your money in.
Okay. Awesome. So no more cross question. Yeah. You ask the question, you respond.
Yeah, I respond. So you said two things, right? One is lot of fraud happened and second is the government. So there are two aspects that you are saying that it failed. Now the government perspective is different because with Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, as I told you earlier, that these transactions are just transactions that has no identity attached to it other than encrypted identity. So government cannot trace the fund being transferred through cryptocurrencies. That is why government is skeptical about approving use of cryptocurrency. That's the reason. It's not, Bitcoin have not failed. But because the government is not able to track the transactions, they feel that a lot of misuse of that transactions will happen. For example, someone would kidnap and say, give me Bitcoins. You cannot, with a bank transaction, you can track back the person who has received the money, right? But with Bitcoins, you cannot track back. Again, when you come to, so that I think, I hope that answers your first question.
Don't confirm, else it will increase the debate.
No, that is right.
No, sir, you asked the question, he responded, you may not agree with his answer, but that is absolutely fine.
I will, if
you have another follow-up question?
No, if it is a right answer, for sure I will agree.
So that is fine.
But the thing is that there are a lot of dilemma which is going on.
No, so let me answer. Yeah. So I also get a chance to meet a lot of...
Because, let me finish. Yeah. Thank you. The thing is that when you're talking, when you started blockchain, the whole idea was that security, right? So you can track back all the transactions, whatever happened.
So now let me answer. Yeah. So there are multiple opinions about it. One of the point that sometimes...
But it is not opinion, it is a fact what is happening in the world.
Arey sir, you come here as an answer. I gave you the chance, let me answer. So there are different people who would have different answers to the question that you put forward. One thing a lot of people believe is you can build an amazing system, but you can't build system for human greed. So a lot of frauds that have happened, and there are a lot of fraud which are in newspaper. Sometimes people would have, so there are exchanges being hacked. So sometimes it is not that blockchain is being hacked. It is that exchange, some mistake would have happened from the exchange side. Some individual would have given password or would have forgot. Those are
physical passwords were taken off with 40,
for example,
the key.
There
those
is
keys were
another
taken.
cryptocurrency exchange, CoinSecure. So they said that one of their C-level employee, he did a fraud. So it wasn't the CoinSecure was hacked, but for a customer, CoinSecure, the fraud happened, their money was gone. But they said that their individual, he did that thing. So if you read, blockchain cannot be hacked, but a lot of people associate, a lot of systems associated with that, there is a compromise in that. And that is why it says that, this is an early stage of a huge technology. So there are a lot of limitations, there are a lot of faults. As it gets matured, it will get better. So scalability is the issue that people talk about. So there are a lot of, so Bitcoin was there were a lot of problems. Ethereum came, a lot of new solutions are coming up. So it's an evolution process. That's how it would happen with any other technology. And you can always disagree with some of the points. Idea is not...
I would like to wish you best of luck. I hope in this Kali Yuga you will be able to build that kind of technology.
There are people who are building it.
Because that is going to happen.
No, there are people who are building it. For example, all of you have resumes. At some stage we would have used resumes. Sometimes if you see there is a data that a lot of people fake their credentials. Not fake as in degree, but they would fake some sort of some certificates. So what if such service is on blockchain? So there are startups, there are ventures in India who are actually building it, not just as a prototype, people are using it. It's just that India is so vast, whichever opinion you would have, you have examples for that. Blockchain is not working, you'll have examples. Bitcoin is fraud, you'll have examples. But if you see, there are people who are working it. So it's not zero. And if you want to know, after this event, I'll share a lot of this data with you. Any more questions? Anybody has any question? Should we increase the reward? You should give some reward.
I gave this printed book.
Yes, sir. Achha, you'll get a printed, but it's a free or it's a paid?
It's free, but I'll print it.
So that is not a reward.
Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it is just out of curiosity. We have never been into this cryptocurrency ecosystem per se. I have never invested even 1 rupee in that. But you know, how does the price of a Bitcoin increase from 100 to 1,000, 1,000, 10,000 like a fantasy world? We just don't understand what magic is happening there.
So it's same as share bazaar, dabba trading. It's same as share bazaar.
No, but currency is something whose price should not, if it is called currency.
No, it's not a, see, it's a currency that we call it. It is a token. In actual blockchain technology, it's called a token. So what happens is, when these blocks, these multiple computers are working, right? So, as I told you, millions of computers attached to the system. Now, even you buy a system and you attach your computer to it. So, your system is going to cost 3 lakh rupees, approximately as of today's price. Then you are not going to need to have 24/7 electricity to run the computer. You need electricity to keep the system cool because it takes a lot of heat. Right? There are 8 to 10, 12 graphic cards in the system, so it takes a lot of heat. So you need to have AC running 24/7. Then you need to have 24/7 internet running. So this is all cost. So what the designer of the blockchain did was that when you are doing this much cost from your end, they are rewarding you with tokens. Now these tokens started coming in the market, people started getting these tokens and they started exchanging between them. So as in earlier we had barter system, if you remember. Our culture began with barter system. So you had a stone and you had wheat and you gave it and the cobbler would repair your shoes. That was the barter system. Same barter system started that people started getting tokens which they called Bitcoin. These tokens they started exchanging for pizza. So the founder, it is told that the founder of Bitcoin, he used to buy pizzas for 200, he used to pay 200 Bitcoins to the person who used to give him one pizza. So now calculated to today's price, it is immense. Right, it was 28 lakh plus pizza. So when these tokens started transacting, people started storing these tokens and trading started, dabba trading that we call, of share bazaar, which is unofficial, right? So the unofficial trading started and the Bitcoin prices started escalating and decreasing depending on the dabba trading.
So there are multiple point of views. There are multiple things we decide. So it's a speculation. So there was a very good report where it was mentioned that, Bitcoin price from $350 to $3,000, there was one particular individual or organization which was really responsible for manipulating that price. So it's not that completely zero, nothing is that. But there are various signals. So just to help you understand, which is the best management institute in India? Which is the best management institute in India? Some people would say I am Ahmedabad, some people would say I am Bangalore is catching up, some people would say ISB Hyderabad. So how do we have that opinion? Because some newspaper has said it, because government has said it, because we have some friend who studies there or teaches there. We have a lot of signals. So base would be, this is a new thing for everybody. Try to increase signals as much as possible. Don't rely on one person that, this is the final truth. Everybody is learning. The guys who are inventors of a lot of these interesting cryptocurrencies, they would also say, they are also trying to figure out. And this is a greater opportunity for a lot of young startups. If you understand this thing and do really, really well, you can be as good as anybody in the world, not just trying to play a catch-up game. Yes, sir.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Hiren Shah. A very basic question about cryptocurrency. I have two questions rather. A very basic question about cryptocurrency. So when I use my Indian currency, that is the rupee that we use, on that it is written that I promise to pay the bearer a sum of amount so and so, and it is signed by the governor, the RBI governor. On a Bitcoin, who is that person? Who is guaranteeing that this is the sum of money?
Nothing.
As a
no
value
one.
of this?
No one.
So
it's an uncontrolled system.
Right. So that is why Indian government does not accept it. The reason, the question of that answer was this. The other part of it is basically about the blockchain. So blockchain, I think some time back you explained about, it is basically the data and the servers and the cost of running those servers and the air conditioning and the cooling. I think it's more than that. It is basically the data that is inside those, because the hardware is not the cost. If the hardware was the cost, then we can evaluate it.
No, hardware is one-time capex cost, then you have opex cost of operations.
So the point was that what is inside that hardware is basically the data. It can be the data, as you said, we can use blockchain for storing the data of this entire city. The birth, right from the birth to the death of that person, the entire data can be stored in these blockchains.
True.
And that is the asset value. I mean, the data that is there sitting inside, and that is the asset value. Now, how to evaluate or how to validate what is the exact and the right value of this particular data? That is what is missing.
I'll just, the thing is, data is not stored in the blockchain, data is stored in database. Its verification transaction key is stored over there.
Right.
So it only stores the transaction key.
Right.
And the transaction keys of what happens is, if you are, say, part of the blockchain, your system is part of the blockchain, you cut it off from the internet, then you are not in the part of the blockchain. Point number one. Point number two is that data that is stored is only encrypted form. It is useless to you. For anyone else, it's useless.
Correct. So the point was, again, coming back, whether blockchain can be successful, cannot be successful, a lot depends how we can validate what is the value of this asset. Two, how secure it is. Of course, we talked about security. I think I will not touch upon that point, but that remains a very big question mark, how secured it is. Three, how we can utilize it, because I think nothing has been done. Rather, we are at a very premature step of how we can use this data, or rather whatever the blocks or whatever encrypted portions into data analytics, and how it can be used for applications. I think that remains unexplored.
Correct, and that is an opportunity for people.
There's an opportunity.
It's a everyday growing technology. So yet we are probably at around 20%, 25% of where the technology would be in future, like next 5 years.
Right.
Probably 1%. It is just getting started, and people are trying to figure out.
Right. So I think it's just a matter of time. I think what you have been trying to say so far. I'll just add one last point before I close my comment. So we have something, but we don't know what to do about it.
What's the worth of it?
How we can?
We don't know the worth of it.
We don't know the worth of it. I can only say one thing. I'm taking the clue from something like Google, or I'm taking the clue from something like Facebook. Facebook has, the world has 8 billion people on this planet, and 4.5 billion people have Facebook accounts. So what they did, they used the data and they shared it. So, I mean, it's just that we don't know how to use it.
There is this company which
currently we don't know. No, currently people don't know. So yes, we call it secure. Probably tomorrow someone will know,
right,
and new protocols will have to be developed to improve it and make it more secure.
So, just to add on to your point, there is this company Steemit.com, which is like Facebook, like blockchain, Facebook on blockchain, where you are. So it's what if Facebook was on blockchain? So Steemit is something like that. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Anybody else? So do we have some time? We have some time. Anybody has? So probably you can finish on the why, like the last part of your, then we'll take, I have a few more questions for you.
Should I go into the technical part of it? How?
No, probably you can close that. But anybody has any
So
question?
the thing is blockchain applicable everywhere? It's a big no. It's not applicable everywhere. You have to be very sure and understand the right use case. So first thing is understand the purpose of the blockchain. Blockchain is a tool for traceability, integrity, multi-party transactions, architecture, then it will apply to the use case that you have, right? Understand what blockchain will not able to do. So one thing we all need to understand is blockchain does not store data. It stores the transaction record. Blockchain cannot be used to store your data or images or any other thing. You have to use the conventional databases for that. That transaction record is stored on blockchain. So that makes it, which is encrypted, so that's why it makes it secure. So you have to use blockchain for verifying, maintaining a trust and transparency between the records. That's where the major use of blockchain is. And as always, before implementing, you should know the pros and cons, that whether implementing blockchain will make your application complex or make it easy to use. That is, if you are implementing blockchain and things become complex, earlier 2 people were involved in your approval processes, and now with blockchain you have to add 5 more people to the system, then that's not a good use case for blockchain. And then there's a whole blockchain canvas that you can collect from me, and that with using that you can identify whether your application needs blockchain or not, and whether you should use it or not.
Okay, awesome. So I'll end with the last point. Probably all of us use Facebook, probably all of us use WhatsApp. How many of you were among the first 100 users of Facebook? Anyone? Reason the reason could be when Facebook was started, it was only for Harvard students. Then it was expanded. So probably if we were in Harvard, we would have been among the first 100 users of Facebook. But probably 8 years down the line, 3 years down the line, all of us started using it. So are we going to be the early adopters of those technology? Or we will wait for the entire world to prove it that and this is the gold standard, and then we will adapt. So this is an interesting opportunity. If you, so that's a choice you make. You will wait for the world to certify this is the thing that you should learn, or you will take your bet based on your instinct and the knowledge that probably this is something. So probably we are not saying that this is you should do. We are trying to tell probably this could be the one that is going to affect, or at some set it will affect our lives. So why don't you understand that and then take your own calls, whatever you will do. If you are not among the first 100 users of Facebook, can you be among the first 100 users of some startups which started from Surat? Or we will discover good startups from Surat only when they are on stage, or we will discover them when they are early, they need that support. So sometimes people don't support early stage guys, they would be skeptic in front of them. Skepticism is always good, but if you play a role, be a lead adopter, be a partner, that would really go a long way. So probably everybody who's in this room would be as successful as some of the people who had presented. So with this, we will end, but we will select the people who ask the good questions.
Mr. Viren.
Okay, what he gets? What he is going to get? What is the reward?
Reward was the locha that we given.
You'll get locha. You can choose any shop that you would want. Unlimited locha for 1 hour or something. Then 8 days for iCover. You can transfer to somebody also. But these are the rewards. And free book, which is anyways free. So you should have something.
You need to pay to contact me, right? For that. That's the actual pain.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. So idea wasn't to tell that this is it. Idea is to. This is probably something is going to be awesome.
Blockchain
is to explore.
Blockchain is still growing. It's in like infant stages. It is going to take time to sink in and to be mature. But yes, if we can be early adapters and use technology wisely.
If you are early adapter, you can become an author like him. Okay, thank you so much, and thank you so much, Surat Smart City team and this entire event.